Welcome to the Hollywood Scholar. I'm Jed Morgan, and I just finished watching Jurassic Park Dominion like 10, 15 minutes ago. And I gotta say, I did not expect any movie in this franchise to ever be as bad as Fallen Kingdom. But somehow Dominion managed it, making it the worst in the whole Jurassic Park franchise. And it wasn't just a little bit worse, it was a lot worse. I mean, the very foundation of the concept of this movie was nonsensical. So how can the plot stand on that lack of a foundation? Now, of course, there is some suspension of disbelief when it comes to the science of the first movie. You have to kind of understand there's some sci-fi crap going on here. There is no level of fake sci-fi jumbo that could go to explain the basis of this movie, and they don't even try. There is no possible way that the few dozen dinosaurs that were released at the end of the second movie could repopulate the entire planet worth of dinosaurs in 4 years. I mean, how did they even get across the oceans? They say, oh, black market did it. Well, I can see onesie twosies doing that, but enough to repopulate the entire planet? I'm talking like dinosaurs are everywhere. You can't go outside without seeing a dinosaur. The foundation of the movie is broken because there's no possible way that they could breathe that fast or travel that far. It was a nonsensical farce. I have a lot of notes on this movie, and not a single one of them went into my positive category. It was all utter nonsense. And yeah, it all was down to how they got across the oceans and how they got that many numbers. And not all the species that were released at the end of the last movie were in breeding pairs for the species that needed to breed conventionally with male and female. It's not a Noah's Ark situation. There wasn't two of everything. And so it's just it's nonsensical. But I will be getting into some minor spoilers here. Not really anything of note. I'm going to keep this review very short because of how dumb this fucking movie is. But spoiler alert. Now, the basis of the villain's arc in the movie is he wants to make medicine out of dinos. Yeah, he wants to make dinosaur medicine to heal human issues, but he also wants to make locusts from the Cretaceous period that'll kill all food that he didn't make, so he'd be rich, controlling the world's food source. It's dumb, it's nonsensical, it's sci-fi, low-budget action nonsense that really doesn't have a through line, and he's just generic Steve Jobs bad guy ripoff. It really wasn't anything of note to his character, and the dino meds make no sense. And one of the biggest parts of the movie that bothered me was the pilot character. Her change of heart from I'm just a heartless smuggler, be careful, don't get anywhere near me, fuck you, to I'm a good guy now is like that. In her initial encounter with Claire, she's like, no, go away. And then she sees Claire hanging from a balcony. She's like, you know what? I think I'm a good guy now. That's how fast it was. It wasn't very well telegraphed. It wasn't thought through. It's just, oh yeah, we need her to be a good guy so that they can get to the next location. And that's was prevalent throughout the movie. So much coincidence carried everything. And they're just like, ooh, we need to go to a new location. It felt like a James Bond movie where it's just like, we need to find a reason to film in a lot of different exotic locations. So I'll make up some shit. That's exactly how it happened. And the coincidences were everywhere. I mean, how did Claire fall onto something soft? How did the bad guys find them at the beginning of the movie, the girl and the baby raptor? How did what's-her-bucket Maisie walk out of the secret lab right where Dr. Grant and Sadler were? How did the Sadler and Malcolm and whatnot crash the car right in front of all the other characters? It was built on nonsensical coincidence at the very heart of it. There was no through line from any scene whatsoever, and even the nostalgia that they tried to bring in wasn't enough to carry through this movie and carry through that nonsensical script. I'm telling you, there is no such thing as logic in this movie, so the entire movie falls apart. Now, there was a good way to show relatability to a character, showing them grieving or feeling guilt over a situation that they caused. That's not the case for Claire or Odin. They let dozens of dinosaurs escape in Malta, killing people rampantly, and none of them even express remorse. And though it's not necessarily their fault, a good person would question that. They're just like, oh, we gotta save our kid, fuck all these random civilians who had nothing to do with it. So yeah, that doesn't make any sense. And then the whole part about them kidnapping the baby dinosaur doesn't make any sense either, because Dr. Wu says they need the baby raptor to understand Maisie, and Maisie holds the key to genetic mutation so that they can just like send out a virus to kill all the locusts, but it'll also heal all human diseases at the same time. Well, she's not going to help them understand Maisie, because Beta's whole situation is that she's a virgin birth, just like Maisie was. But that's not the part of Maisie that Wu is interested in. He's interested in the genetic mutation that her mother gave to her a year or two after she was born. The important part of Maisie's life has nothing to do with the important part of Beta's life. There's no reason why they would have needed the baby raptor except to get Owen involved more so, and to have Blue involved in the story somehow, and to have some jokes at the end about, is that a baby raptor on your back? So yeah, the basis of that storyline was nonsense as well. And that's just what the entire movie is. Utter nonsense built on sand, no foundation, and it's just mindless action movie now. And there's none of the heart, none of the philosophy, none of the emotion that carried the first movie and made it to the spectacle and classic that it is today. And it's a real shame. This franchise has fallen a lot since that first movie, and it sucks to see. There's no way dinosaurs would have taken over the earth like that. They're still vulnerable to bullets, and there's no way that after how many people died, that the governments wouldn't just give free rein to kill any dinosaur you see. Now, that may not be the humanitarian thing, but that's what would have happened to save the human species. That matters more. No other species can come before humanity for our own survival, and so no one even questioned that decision. None of the philosophy or interesting questions were asked in this movie that were asked in the original. The only thought was, killing bad, and that's not nice. That's about as much of a through line. They tried to do some random little woke stuff, nothing of real note. It's more throwaway stuff that didn't affect the overall story. It was the bad writing at the core of it that made this a disastrous movie. And I really am glad that this is the end of the franchise, at least for now. At the end of the trilogy, at least they said. But they didn't wrap anything up. The end of this movie is exactly the same as the beginning of this movie. There was no evolution. There was no solution to the problem of how do we deal with this dino problem. There was no change in the whole we need to let Maisie have a life deal. It's just like, you know what? Can't do anything about the dinosaurs, so let's keep doing what we're doing. And Maisie, you're still locked in a cabin in the woods with us, and nothing really changed. The only thing that really evolved throughout the movie was Dr. What's-His-Bucket and What's-Her-Bucket got back together from the first movie. Despite Laura Dern, while promoting this movie, saying that was the disgusting, toxic masculinity, misogynist relationship from the first movie. You market the movie by bad-mouthing the first movie, which also badmouths this movie. That's not very smart marketing on the part of Laura Dern. But yeah, that's about the only thing that changed from the beginning to the end of this movie. Nothing else mattered. This was not the resolution to the series. This was just, we had to get a third one. Let's just make it so that people are living in harmony. It's going to be a lot more difficult than this movie made it out to be. It's as if they're just like, humanity, just decide to live together. No, you have to actually come up with a plan, kind of like with the whole Falcon and Winter Soldier thing. It felt exactly like that speech from the end of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. This is a problem that needs an actual solution, not just big words. And he's just like, you got to do better. It's cured then. It's the same thing with this movie. How do we solve this dino problem? You just got to get along, man. And it was over. It was nonsense. So yeah, those are my thoughts on the movie. I don't want to talk about this for another second because it was a dumbass movie with no writing, no character, and nothing that even made sense. Nostalgia wasn't even worth it. But anyway, that's all I have for today. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Anon. If you like what I do here and want to see good, compelling stories that Hollywood will no longer give you, check out my book series, Odyssey of a Phoenix, a mythological epic about philosophy, morality, and modern-day mental illness issues. Books 1, Down in Flames, and Book 2, Apocalypse Then, currently on sale. Book 3, Kill the Dark, coming soon.